What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we have a midterm election just right around the corner. I say right around the corner, but we're building up to it. So in November 3rd, we will see this midterm election. And I want to show you some different stories of people all over the U.S. that are struggling. And some of these people actually voted for Trump. In this situation, we're going to take a look at fishermen. These fishermen voted for Trump. And guess what? Now they're very upset with Trump because of the policies that President Trump has put into place. It's hurting them. And so I'm going to show you this clip. We'll talk a little bit about it. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's just get right into it. We'll play the clip. We're going to talk a little bit about it as we watch it. And then at the end, I will show you the Senate map because we're talking about Florida here. Now, Florida is a red state. It's not a battleground state. We do have some other states that I think are more in that battleground territory. But if you see that people are upset in Florida, they're probably going to be upset in some of these other places. So when we take a look at the Senate map, I'll show you the pathway that Democrats have to take back control of the Senate. So let's go ahead and play the clip first, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Here we go.
Fishermen here in Cortez, Florida are pissed off with the president who many of them voted for, and they're angry because of skyrocketing diesel prices.
I'm really scratching my head because I voted Republican and most of us in the fishing industry did. And we're not seeing the positives come out of it.
Now
and this is not just fishermen. We're seeing farmers say the exact same thing, that they voted for Trump, and now they're looking at a situation where they could go bankrupt as a result of this. And this is just yet another group of people that are saying, you know what? Maybe I made the wrong decision and voted for Trump.
For the war in Iran, gas coming from this pump in Cortez was going for $3.29 per gallon. Now, gas from this pump is closer to $5 a gallon. And for boats like this one, Linnea, which is about to go out on a 2-week sword fishing trip, it needs 4,600 gallons of diesel. And with prices like these, that's making business unsustainable. All of that on top of the fact that these fishermen are also having to contend with President Trump's erratic tariff policy.
When the tariffs initially went into effect, there was a huge jump in all of our tackle and supplies. And even though the tariff percentages were rolled back a little bit, our suppliers never rolled back their prices.
Now,
this is why you need to be informed. At the end of every video that I post, I say stay informed, stay engaged, because if these fishermen would have been paying attention, President Trump, when he was on the campaign trail, what was President Trump's favorite word? He said it himself. He said it over and over again. My favorite word is tariffs.
He's back. We're going to lower taxes still further for companies that are going to make their product in the USA. We're going to protect those companies with strong tariffs because I'm a believer in tariffs. I'm not sure that you are. I don't think you are, but I congratulate you on your career. But to me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff. And it's my favorite word. It needs a public relations firm just to help it. But to me, it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
And guess what? He did what he said. He increased tariffs across the board, and that raised prices for fishermen and everyone else. So if these fishermen would have been paying attention, because they knew, I mean, come on, you're buying all this tackle and all this stuff. You think it all comes from the U.S. A lot of it's coming from other countries. So if you have a president that wants to impose tariffs, you're going to end up having to pay more as a result of that. And so that's what's shocking to me. You have some people that are just shooting themselves in the foot, knowing that the president, before the president was president, he was talking about tariffs this whole time. And so you can't be surprised that he actually followed through and said, okay, we're going to impose these tariffs.
Manager of this family-run fishing company here in Cortez, Karen Bell, tells me that the tariffs and the diesel prices mean she's going to have to raise the price of fish. And that cost is ultimately going to be incurred by the customers.
And this is another situation. And I know I keep stopping. I'm sorry, but I just have to get this stuff out because I'll forget. If I play this whole clip and then I go to the end of the video, then I'll forget. But I want to make sure we address some of this stuff. When it comes to tariffs, when it comes to diesel fuel, if these areas increase, then guess what they do? They pass it on to the consumer. So when you go to the grocery store and you want to buy fish, that fish is going to be more expensive. That's how it works. And so all the people out there, the president and all his administration saying tariffs don't cause inflation, tariffs don't cause inflation. Well, look, if these fishermen have to pay more for tackle, they need to use that tackle in order to catch the fish. Guess what? They're going to pass that cost on to the consumer. They're not just going to eat that, because a lot of these fishermen, they don't have margins that are like that where they can eat this. They have to pass it on to the consumer. And then when you look at diesel fuel, if diesel fuel increases, they're going to have to pass that on to the consumer, because look at this. You have boats that are going out. They have to pay for the diesel fuel. And then you have trucks that are bringing that fish. So the fishermen are going to charge more. The transportation, the trucks that are bringing that product to the stores, they're going to charge more. And then when it gets to the store and you go and buy it, you're going to have to pay more. That is how it works.
I'm going to try to push prices up. I hope consumers realize that, when we push prices forward or up, it's not really something we want to do.
And one fisherman warned me that this could mean the end for the fishing industry here in Cortez.
Oh, this could be the final straw for a lot of people. For a lot of people in this industry, man. I mean, we're already taxed to death. Everything, the cost of everything, tackle, the cost of operation, and then the fuel going up. It could be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. I mean, and it's sad.
And these fishermen have a clear message to President Trump about who's suffering from this war back home.
The working class people like us that are going to suffer from this. There's no benefit to it for any of us. The war is pointless. He pleaded to the people, make America great again. We're tearing America apart right now.
And so there's yet another story. That's a sad story. You have these fishermen. Some of these fishermen are going to go out of business as a result of this. And the nail in the coffin is diesel fuel. That's what they were saying. And so they were already struggling before this. And now that we're in this conflict with Iran, now diesel prices are going up. And they're saying, it doesn't make sense for some of these fishermen. It doesn't make sense to continue. And so they might go out of business as a result of this. Now, let me just show you the Senate map so we can drive this home. But before we talk about the Senate map, let's talk a little bit about the House. So Democrats need to net 3 seats in order to take back the House. It's very likely that Democrats will take back the House. But the Senate, that's what we really need to focus on, because the Senate, it's not going to be easy for Democrats to take back the Senate. But when we start seeing issues, we were just talking about the issues in Florida. If we see issues in Florida, we've seen issues in Texas, we've seen issues in Ohio, Iowa, some of these states that are red states, but could flip to Democrats because they're red, but they're not solid red. They're leaning red. And so when we look at states like Ohio, that's leaning red. We look at states like Texas, that's leaning red. Alaska, leaning red. Okay, they're not solid red states anymore. And so if you just have a little bit of a shift, if you have people like in Florida, Florida is likely a red state, likely going to go to a Republican. But if you have people that are upset in Florida, and it's a large enough number of people that are upset in Florida, Florida now could drop down to a lean red state and not a likely red state. And why is that important? It's important because if Florida, let's say you have, and we're talking about the House of Representatives, we're talking about some of those seats, and then you're talking about the Senate. If these races in Florida start to tighten, then the Republican Party is going to have to spend more money in Florida just to assure that they will lock up Florida. They'll be able to win Florida, which means it'll take resources away from some of these states that are more of a toss-up or more of a battleground state. And so when we're looking at this map, the tier 1 states, I've talked about this before. First off, when we look at Democrats and independents, right now they're at 47. Republicans are at 53. When we start looking at some of these states, like in a tier 1 category, if we're looking at states like North Carolina, Maine, Alaska, these are states that Democrats, they have an advantage right now looking at the polling, and they could potentially win in those states. So if we see those 3 states go to Democrats, Democrats only need to win 1 more state. So in total, they need to net 4 states. But if they can win those 3 that I just went over, now they only need to win 1 more state. Ohio, Texas, Iowa, there's some states that are on the board now that they can potentially win. And so if we're hearing and seeing more and more people out there saying, look, I don't know, I voted for Trump, but now I'm thinking maybe I made a mistake. That's not just going to be in Florida. That's not just going to be in Texas. That's going to be all over the U.S. And as a result of some of the stuff that's going on in Florida, that could impact people in other states. Why? Because we were talking about the cost of fish going up. So if the cost of fish goes up all over the U.S., we're going to be paying more for fish. If we're paying more for fish, we're going to look at the current administration. We're going to say, you know what? You're the blame for this. Tariffs, diesel prices, all of that. And they're going to hold this administration responsible for that. And what that means is they're going to hold Republicans who are running for re-election and some Republicans who are running for office, they're going to hold them accountable and they're going to vote them out. Or they're just not going to show up. They're just not going to vote. And if you have enough Democrats or enough independents that are energized and they go out and they vote for Democrats, then that is going to give Democrats an advantage in the midterm election, and they have an opportunity to take back control of not just the House, but the Senate as well. So I want to pass this off to you. What do you guys think about all of this stuff that's going on? Do you think Democrats have an opportunity to take back the Senate and the House? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.